Welcome to Spartan Up Podcast. We've got a special guest today, Mike Miller from the World Olympians Association. We have Sefra, as always. We have retired Colonel Tim Nye.
Pulling up the rear.
I'm Dr. Johnny. We have Marion producing everything, making us all look good. A guy who always looks good, Angel Sanz. And Mike, you know Angel, right?
Yeah, he's amazing. And the reason to watch, if you want to know all about the pyramid and you don't want to go to Egypt, this is the man. Watch him.
We're here with Angel in Morzine, France.
Yep.
Angel's an old friend of mine. We haven't seen each other in 3-4 years, right?
Yeah, and we're still friends. You know?
He wakes up earlier than me,
Yeah.
right? Works harder than me.
No.
Is happier than me.
That's true.
Right? He's bigger. He's stronger. This guy is awesome. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but let's just talk. Like, everybody out there wants to know how to be, better, strong. Basically, they want to be you.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
But then smile a little bit.
You were. Well, tell us about you. You were a basketball player?
I was a basketball player, and I played in the States. I played at the University of Houston for 4 years. And but actually, what has happened with sports in me is that instead of sports being the end of the story, is the beginning of the story. Is how I can use sport to change things and know how to make it at the end of the sports world, And that's what I learned really early in life, in how I use sport to get an education, I use sport to get a family, I use sport to be better at business, I use sport to make my business, and now I'm using sport to change people.
Yeah. And then you did something really cool.
Yep.
We got involved in Spartan together
Yep.
in Spain. And then you tied it into a university.
Yep, exactly. Actually, when people ask me, in the newspapers in Spain and everything, they say, how do you get Spartan in Spain? And I said, well, actually, I did it the opposite of what everybody would do. Everybody would say, okay, there's a cool race. You can make money if you do races and everything. And I said, well, I don't really care about that too much. I like money, don't get me wrong. But I think that money is the consequence of adding value. Right. What I think that that Spartan adds the most value is because it is a tool to help people to become better.
Right.
If people are better, there's value, and if there's value, there's money. So actually, I teach entrepreneurship in an MBA, my MBA program, and I just couldn't understand how students go and try to learn about sports management, and they don't do sports. It's a completely nonsense, Right. So I told them, look.
So you had all these students going in there, and they were studying sports management, but they weren't participating in any sport.
Nothing.
Right.
I mean, there was one guy was 250 pounds.
Right.
You cannot be in the world of sports.
You said time out. It's ridiculous.
Stop it.
Right.
So if you want to learn it, you have to live it. In order to live it, let's do something that actually is the perfect metaphor of an entrepreneurship life, which is an obstacle race.
Right.
This is perfect. This is what you find in life.
Sure.
So I said, what is the best obstacle race that I can find in the world? And I went, okay, Spartan seems to be the nice one. Yeah. So I went to Reebok back then, remember? It was our sponsor back then. And I went to Reebok in Spain, who I had a good relationship with. And they told me that a connection with you guys. And so I talked to you and said, hey, let me change the world through education. Yeah. And let's take Spartan to another place where I think it should be. And that's what I really love about Spartan. It can be entered into the education system.
Does it work? What do the kids say?
Well, it's unbelievable, the testimonials that we have on that one. Of course, everybody sees the physical transformation. That's kind of the obvious thing. Right. But for example, one thing that has happened in the program is that they do better projects at the end of the masters because they have work discipline that they didn't know how to work before. They have work teamwork that they didn't know how to do before. Within the program, they actually integrate concepts, business concepts that they didn't know how to integrate outside of the theory. And all of a sudden, they are better students and they have better grades just because they enter into this program.
Well, they're more active too.
Well, of course. I mean, physically, it changes the whole thing. So when you have the energy, because at the end, this is a matter of energy. Yeah. When you have the energy, you are able to perform at a higher level.
Nothing frustrates me more than seeing successful business people, men and women, that are crushing it in the business world, but are extremely overweight or unhealthy or not eating right. Nothing drives me more crazy than that because they were able to get control of one part of their life and then the other part just went off the rails.
Well, actually, there's one guy called Jim Lohr. I don't know if you know Human Performance Institute in the States. He has the pyramid of performance, right? And this pyramid, the first one is physical.
Right.
If you don't have the minimum physical, you forget about performance. Then you go to emotional, you go to mental, and then you go to purpose, which is the peak of the mountain. But if you don't have the physical, you're on.
So you're not taking care of yourself and training every day.
So when you see this managing director who is 300 pounds, that guy, maybe he's performing enough, but he's at this level and he could perform at this level.
Sure.
So it's a big opportunity cost of people who don't take care of themselves.
Do the kids that go through the MBA program with you, do they take that away?
Yep. They take that away, and they still actually, most of them of course, they keep doing Spartan races because that's kind of become the link.
Well, once we put the chip in their neck, then they have no choice.
They tattooed,
Right, that's right.
But then all of a sudden they enter into a routine of understanding that this actually was the reason why their performance
was better.
Changed. Yeah, so then it's kind of it seems like there's no way back once they try it. That's the concept. In the university, you learn by listening or by watching. Then everybody says that we have to learn by doing, which is something that, no, in this case, you have to learn by living. When you learn by living, which is you put emotions into it and you put the energy into it, then is when learning happens.
Sure.
And this is what we're doing with Spartan in the university.
You wake up very early in the morning.
Yeah.
Even before me.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit. Because you had a philosophy on this.
Well, yeah. Well, actually, it's also a physical thing. If I was lucky enough to be able to sleep 4 hours a day and be okay, well, then I'm a lucky person, So I used to work a lot in those hours. So I wake up 4 in the morning, 3:30 in the morning or something, and get a lot of work done. And that's been like that for the early years. Then I realized that it was counterproductive. So I didn't have to work on those hours because imagine you go to the office at 8 o'clock in the morning, I've already worked for 5 hours. I will just drain you,
Sure.
So what I learned that I had to use those moments first to do only the added value work that I have to do, which is probably 1 hour. 1 hour I have top.
Okay.
And all the rest is about me. It's about having the energy. It's about doing the workout. It's about taking care of the family. And it's about all those things that you need to put in place in order to be able to perform. Talking about this, the pyramid.
Yeah.
So if you have that balance, mental, emotional, and physical,
you're unstoppable.
You're unstoppable. Then they have the purpose, which is that's the last one. But so I work on those three. I work on those three from 4 in the morning till 8 in the morning when everybody just catches up.
And then you start the day with everybody else.
Yeah. Exactly, but I'm ahead.
Let's talk about purpose. You and I were talking about purpose last night.
Yeah.
And what was the name of the book you recommended?
It's called Purpose Economy.
Purpose Economy. Yeah. So, and you said something really interesting, which was there's all these businesses out there, and they have business, they're crushing it, but they don't necessarily have purpose. Yeah,
they don't. And that's back in the old times, we had the agricultural economy, right? Which we all know that and everything. Then the Industrial Revolution came, and then it was the industrial economy. That's been happening for 200 years, not more than that. So thousands of years on agriculture, then not even 200 years of industrial. Then everybody's talking about information economy. And everybody thinks that we're there, and we're not. That's gone already. Now the big power is in the purpose. It's a purpose economy, which means that either you do something for a reason, or your business for a reason, or you're out. You don't know if you're going to be out next year or in 5 years, but your company is completely out of the mainstream. Just to make things
because consumers are recognizing
because consumers just now feel it, and it's like emotions. They feel that what they do, they consume, they buy, or they just
or even work for a company. They want to work for a company with purpose.
Exactly, and that's changed everything, completely everything. Apple is a nice example. Apple people, if I ask you in the 90s what is Apple, you will say a computer company. Then you say no, but they also do phones. No, they also do iPads. They also do iPods. No, actually, what they want to do, the purpose is changing the world through technology. And whatever it is, they will do, And that's why people is making lines of 2 days to get the new iPhone or the new iPod or whatever, It's the purpose. That's the strength of it. And mine is clear. It's changing the world through sport. And Spartan is the best tool, actually, to do
it. So the problem I have is we have a purpose, but no business.
Yeah. But we are in the right spot because now the other part is you have a business, but you have no purpose. You're there already. Yeah. So now there are companies trying to find the purpose, and they will need to change everything. And actually, they need to change the strategy and the structure because it has to be coherent. If it's not coherent, the client will know, but actually the market will know, and even the money will know. So building on purpose is reasonable. Building on the business is a dead road.
Let's go. I'm getting a signal from the producer. Let's go find some purpose.
All right.
Maybe I want to do more burpees, if that's cool.
Oh, fantastic. Me too.
Hey Spartans, what's up? Hope you're enjoying the podcast. We'll get back to that in just a minute. But for now, I'm Anne LaRue, and we're ticking away through the 31 habits of the healthiest Spartans. Today we're on habit number 12, and I'm calling this Find Your Five. Have you ever heard that saying that you're a product of the 5 people that you spend the most time with? I absolutely find that to be true. Spending time with healthy, happy people is going to help you be healthy and happy. But if you're spending time with people that would rather sip on a few beers rather than go for a hike, then your wellness goals may be a bit more challenging. So today I want to talk to you about finding your 5. First, you need to figure out what are your goals and what do you want to do. Then you need to start looking for people who share those same goals and positive attitude. It's important to recognize, though, that you really want to evaluate the people. Let's say you have a really good friend who's going to the gym with you all the time. That's awesome. But they are constantly joking about how much they hate working out and they can't wait to go sit and grab some food. That may not be as positive of an outlook as you're looking for. So really kind of take a look at your friends and see which ones not only enjoy doing what you're doing, but take on that positive approach just like you do. The last part I want you to think about is the fact that of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, that number 1 person is you. So make sure that you are every day living out the healthy habits and positive attitude that you want to take you further towards your goals. So that's it, habit number 12. We'll be back next week for habit number 13. If you love the full downloadable list of the 31 habits of the healthiest Spartans, you can go to life.spartan.com/habits. Back to the podcast.
Back with Anna Hall after doing, was that 223 burpees?
Actually, you counted wrong. Actually, do you know, I had another story with this one, is that when you counted upwards, you might make mistakes, but you counted backwards. You are okay. So I was 235.
Got it. I screwed that up. So you had me thinking. I got a moment of clarity from doing the burpees. Mission, vision. Yeah. Are we clear? Like, do you know what our mission is at Spartan?
Yep. It's changing the world of 100 million people.
Yeah, so it started out just like McDonald's. Remember in the early days when you used to see the sign at McDonald's that said 1 million burgers sold? And it started out, and I said, can we do 50,000 people? And then it went to 1 million. And then I said, screw it, let's just go big. And we want to change 100 million lives, because if you change, my theory is you change 100 million lives, you change the whole world, right? Because they all have friends, and it just starts to percolate. But how do you do that? And it's through nutrition, right? It's through training. It's through a mindset. Yeah. Like you just got to be tougher. You got to just deal with it. Spartan up.
Yeah, I agree completely. Right. And in that aspect, I think that there are 2 things maybe that we can do. It's do you know the story of the first follower? You know what that is?
No.
The first follower is an underestimated form of leadership, because they think that you have to be leading. Actually, not. I have to be leading. I have to follow you, Right. And if I follow you, they have more people, because there's this guy, David Shivers, I think this was his name. He talked about this, and he said that the first follower is what turns a crazy one into a leader.
I like that. Yeah.
So you are a crazy until you have followers.
Right.
So
you were the first.
Exactly. Let me be your first follower.
You were the first follower when I saw you.
But I think that we need to find first followers.
Yes.
That people are crazy enough to go up into your mission.
Yes.
And
buy into it. Buy into it, right? Not with money, just buy into it. Right?
Exactly. No, it's not a money issue.
Right.
It's like if you want to do 6,000 burpees. I read about you the other day. Yeah. Well, let's do it. Let's do the 6,000, and maybe I just go to 4,000 because I cannot go up to you, but I will be there.
You're gonna like this. I didn't know this concept of first follower, but I said there are people out there that are carrying this mission forward. Yeah. And they're ripping people off the couch like you in Spain. You're just ripping people off the couch. And I said, we should give them something. And I called it the Forge. Because actually, a friend of Colonel Nye made this thing for me. It's the size of a cell phone. It's about a 1/4-inch thick metal. It's rusty. And it's got the Spartan logo hammered into it. and then there's little holes, and you stick grommets in every time you rip somebody off the couch.
Yeah.
You put it in there so you could remember, I changed these 30 lives or 40
I want
lives.
one of those.
I'm going to send you one.
Yes.
So the idea is we should send those to the people that say, hey, I'm a follower, I'm a believer.
Yeah.
I'm going to go make the world better.
But there's a theory on this one also, which is called the theory of diffusion of innovation.
Okay.
Which says that you can change, you get the universe, let's say 100 million, like you said, like we said. You actually, that change happens, the big leap happens when you reach to 16,000, to 16%. So 2.5% are the crazy ones, which is you.
Right.
Then
so
the
once
first followers,
we hit 16 million, then it's going to really happen?
It's going to boom, it's going to bump.
Okay.
You know, so that's, let's aim 100,000, but let's target 16 million.
16 million. All right, we could do that.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. So you're a storyteller. You keep me very interested in hearing from you. Tell me your favorite story ever.
I have many actually, but some of them that I like is I had the chance to meet Rafael Nadal and to know how they work and to work with them in a few things. And I had the idea that Rafael Nadal was the product of his uncle. You know, I mean, you see his uncle is wisdom. You know, and he really is. You know, but I thought that he was like following his pace. And actually, what I realized is that the uncle is the product of Rafael Nadal. Surprisingly enough.
Interesting.
That guy is even more impressive than what he seems. You know, he was smart enough that when he was a teenager, understanding that he needed the figure of somebody like his uncle and follow his path. But it was his choice. It was not his father's choice it was his choice. For me, it's that what makes him the biggest ever. You know, he's way beyond his talent. It's how powerful this can be. Yeah. That your talent takes you here, and you can go so much beyond.
How do we apply it to our lives?
Well, I think that we first be humble enough. We need to be humble enough to know what we need, and second, be generous enough to give what we need to give, and third is be smart enough to bring the people that we need to grow beyond our talent.
Because it takes a village.
It
right?
does. It does. You cannot do it by yourself.
You can't do it by yourself. Somebody said to us on one of these podcasts, everybody should have a personal board of directors, and that's a good idea, right?
Perfect. Yeah.
Right, because then you got somebody to bounce stuff off of.
Yeah, a mentor, and you need a mentor. Find mentors. And the mentor doesn't have to be the same guy in your life. It's just you go changing, and some add this to you and those other. But when you know what you need, then you go. It's easy to find who can give it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
What else? Two takeaways.
Two takeaways. I think that people is thinking that Spartan is a huge thing. I think it's just started. You know, I think we just got started, and that's what I was telling you. Yeah. And I think we are 30% of what we could be. So.
We got a long way to go.
Yeah, beware. I mean,
we're coming.
We are coming. You know, we're coming.
Now,
strong.
do you still want to institute that idea where you said we would buy 1,000 black vans and we show up at people's houses at night and just rip them out of the couch?
Yeah, but with a hood, you know. So there are no proofs. I think that we have a lot to do, and I think that the world of business should be more involved into this. I think that we're getting there. This purpose thing is going to the business finally. I think that sports and well-being is going to business finally. I mean, that's where the money is. The money makes the change. I mean, you cannot make a change without the money. But it doesn't mean that you have to give a lot of funds, but you need to be where the money is. We have to reimagine the world as we know it. And I think that we can do it from
I've always been against aligning with the big brands. I'm not going to mention any names that put out food that's not the highest quality or healthy. But now I'm starting to think that maybe we would align with some of these brands, because if they allow us to influence some of the food choices that they put out there, that's going to be the quickest way to make a change.
Yeah. And there's another thing that sometimes we are too strict on some things.
Yeah. Like when I told you can only have water and celery at the finish line, that was too strict?
That was too strict for you, yeah. I almost died. But I think that some of those companies also are the consequence of many years happening in a lot of things. So those things cannot be changed from one day to the other.
Sure.
I think that if there's a commitment on working together, I think that's all we need. And if somehow that change doesn't come, maybe we are just not in the same line, and then just we can move away.
Sure.
But I think that that is even better to help that change of these people that actually have big impact in the world, in the business.
Yes,
and the
big influence. Right.
And I think that's what we need. That's how we get to the 100 million.
Yeah. So if we gave away those little forages that I want to give away, what tip would you give somebody other than having a van and a mask to go into their house? What tip? I know how hard it is for me to convince people to get going. What tip would you give?
I think what is works for me is not only set an example, which is something that we have to do, is just do it with somebody for a week. Go with somebody and I'll do it with you. I'll do it with you for a week, and spend 30 weeks. And maybe you'll have to do it in 1 year. You can do it in 5 years, but just dedicate 1 week to a person that you think that you can change. And if after that the change doesn't happen, well, too bad, But
you know the story with Lycurgus. Lycurgus was the founding father of Sparta, and the story goes, at least the way I heard it, that he instituted all these new rules. We're going to wake up early. We're only going to eat black soup. We're going to train like crazy. People were pissed. Some guy went to stab him in the eye, and so they said, "You want us to kill him?" He said, "No, have him live with me." And he moved in with him. And after a week, he said, "Wow, this guy actually lives the way he's asking us to live," and they became friends. So you're right.
Well, actually, there's another story of Ghandi.
Yeah,
Ghandi, there was this mom with a daughter came and said, "Hey, can you please tell her not to eat chocolate?" He said, "Okay, come back in a week." And he said, in a week he came back and said, "Hey, don't eat chocolate." He said, "Why do you make me wait for a week?" He said, "Because I didn't eat chocolate for a week, and now I know how it feels, so don't eat chocolate." That's Ghandi.
I like that.
So,
I like that.
yeah, that's what we can do. Yeah, let's do it.
You're the man.
So there's a reason that Anthill's been around Spartan since the very beginning. This guy, one of the first people Joe sort of met and drew into these circles, he really lives and breathes the Spartan ethos. This guy gets it.
He does. He talks about the concept, and I've heard you speak about this many times, but he talks about the concept of the first follower and the importance of the first follower. He may be, if not the first follower, the 1A or 1B of Spartan. He was right there at the beginning from what I've been told. So he saw the importance of it, understood what it could become, the platform that he could leverage to help other people.
And Tim and I have talked about that. To explain the idea of the first follower, somebody has a great idea. Joe had this incredible idea. If you don't have someone like Anthil get excited about it, and if we don't then get excited about it too, it's actually the first follower who creates a movement. The first person has the idea.
Right. There's like a hilarious YouTuber, maybe it's even a TED Talk, like how to start a movement, right? There's the guy at the concert who's dancing alone. They're all like, what a crazy. And then the second person comes and you're still like, what a crazy. But then by the time the third person comes, you're like, oh, now it's socially acceptable. And then the entire people
so
storm
you think
in.
It's the second follower then, not the first follower.
Or the third.
But
let's go back to Anthil here.
Yeah, well, just quickly, though, but it's also how influential. The more influential that first follower is, the better off you're
Don't
going
walk
to be.
behind me, I may not lead, just walk beside me. You know that song?
That's the original
That
point.
sounds
but you're-
biblical.
Can we hear it? Can you
Okay.
sing a verse?
Just walk beside me.
But back
and
to
be
Anthil,
my
and
friend.
you've known him for a while. That pyramid idea, and so expand on that. I love that.
Yeah, but first of all, just going back to the whole first follower, I mean, he was a pro basketball player. He's a team player, so he understands about how to build a team, how to work together. And I think that's what he saw in Spartan. It was all about, it may be individuals competing, but it's also about building a whole team ethos behind it as well. So I think that's one of the things that attracted him to it.
And when he talks about you have to have that healthy body to then have the healthy life, and then the purpose and the spirituality at the top. When you say about him recognizing something in Spartan, a lot of people think this is a physical company. It's about getting people out running, and sure, that's the baseline. But then it's how do you build on that? How do you eventually have them have purpose? When we talk about a lot of our guests, they may have gone through some traumatic situation, but at the end of the day, what they talk about is purpose. What's their purpose now in life? And that really is what we have to aspire to, is having that reason to get up, that reason to go out and make a difference, and to be there for others.
What you're saying about that baseline of health, right? It's the same thing as a forest grows in good soil, right? That's just the beginning of it. When you have healthy soil, everything can sprout and germinate in your life.
How come you always bring everything back to dirt?
Have you ever
Because I'm a
met her?
dirtbag naturalist and I love it.
You've not obviously met Sefra.
Going back to purpose, I mean, the thing about Spartan also is about connecting purpose with obstacles. And the point of the physical obstacles is that you face obstacles in life and you can overcome them or go around them or however you're going to deal with them. And so the two go together. You have a purpose, there are obstacles in your way, you overcome the obstacles. So if you go through that physical journey, hopefully you connect that to the mental journey that you take 100%. In life. and that's what it's about.
Get over your mental
I was going to say,
obstacles.
he also talked about, again, at purpose is, whether it's your individual purpose or your company's purpose, whatever, he talked about that he never worried about making money, right? That was never his purpose. His purpose is to be value added or to add value, and that the money is a consequence of the added value. So if you make yourself important, or if you make your company or whatever, it becomes something that people rely on, that they need, they give it value. The money then flows from that.
The most wealthy people in the world didn't set out to create wealth. They set out to create something of value, right? So
Something special,
Yes.
something different, something new,
So
something
Facebook
creative.
or Microsoft or Tesla, yes, at the end of the day, they make a lot of money, but it's not because they said, hey, can you give me some money? It's because they said, here's something that's going to make your life better and different.
Generally so.
Except
Yeah,
for the
let that one
hedge
go.
fund guys.
No.
They had,
No.
right, except for the people whose job is to make
whatever.
money.
Joyful and grateful. Listen, there's triple bottom line, a whole bunch of other things that need to be considered at this point. It's the environment, the social, the economic. It's all good. It's all good. Hey, what you guys were saying reminded me of what our friend Peter Borden says. If you're not relevant, you're replaceable. That's a little bit of a different take on it.
And when you said about the obstacles, and obviously Spartan is an obstacle race, we had a recent guest who said, you have to embrace the obstacles in your life, because without those, who are you and what are you? Those are the things, that's the crucible that you're going to become powerful in. And, so people will say to Spartan racers, why would you pay to do that? Why would you pay to go get beat down and have to climb over walls and climb ropes and fall down and do burpees? But because these people get it. We've created an environment for them to come out and find their obstacles and to overcome obstacles. And so, I just referenced guests. Week after week, we have these incredible guests. You're a guest. That's how we ended up having you here, because you have a great story. So join us every week. Find out about these unbelievable guests we have.
People never remember an easy day. Like name one easy day in your life that you remember.
Yesterday, right. That's the SEAL slogan.
Fine. Yeah, there's no easy day. That's all I wanted to say. And the last thing about this gentleman is he gives the best hugs I've ever gotten.
But wait, I want to. No, I'm just.
Come
we're out of here. We're out of
See you later.
Toodles.
Thanks for listening to Spartan Up. We're here to be your partner in resilience training for mind, body, and spirit. We've got tips on leadership, the Spartan mindset, Spartan nutrition, just living life like a Spartan. Almost every day of the week, we're here to help you stay on track. And if you like the show, help us on our mission. We want to rip 100 million people off the couch and give them the tools to keep going. And the best marketing for podcasts like this is people like you. So please tell your friends about it and come back whenever you can. We'll be here for you.